It's like the beginning of Jim and Andy. Did you see that? Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman. It opens with a good part. It's like you say, "How would you open this documentary, Jim?"
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Whew," and then it cuts to Jim and Andy, like, and it's like it's a nice scene, but you can tell like the director in his head that isn't an artifact. He just went. He was like, "I'll pretend this actually happened."
Yeah, yeah. It's
Like,
it's like a meta level.
there's even like a feeling of that here.
Yeah, it's
And all we can
fake.
do is assure people that it isn't there, but even if it is there, who cares?
Yeah, everything's fake.
This is Joel Smith interviewing James Lloyd on his practice and the medium.
It's sort of everything feeds into ideology, and there's ideology everywhere. I think like that's a big sort of fetish in my work, a big like part of how I want it to react with culture as well, because like so often people will completely just see a work for its aesthetic value, but will miss sort of unconscious messages that they'll take in, but won't realise, or they're just not conscious of what is actually there. I think it sounds a little corny, but I think what I want the primary medium to be is the art world. Or at least the sort of material is the studio space or artwork around me. I'm kind of really interested in the idea that you can make work that changes the context of the artwork around it. I've been making a series of paintings recently that encourages you to like not look at the painting itself, not look at the paint on the surface, but sort of try and direct you away and try and force the audience to think about what is actually going on in the work next to the painting. And so in that way the work isn't just one item amongst many in an exhibition or in a space. It recontextualizes the entire environment. I'd say more than anything now, other than artists, I mean, I think like when it comes to artists, it's more of an aesthetic concern. When I look at an artist, I see, how they apply a medium. But I think the root is in philosophy or it's in politics. I take most of my influence from like writers like Mark Fisher or sort of modern leftist thinkers who are concerned with this idea of there being sort of a lack of imagination, or sort of that we're being encouraged to believe that there is no political alternatives. And I think like contemporary art is a good space for us to take things in the past that people have lost confidence in big sort of institutions like religion or big political organisations, and sort of like divorce them from the context there where they were problematic, and they had they were kind of enshrined in these structures that oppressed people, but take what was valuable there and sort of place it in a contemporary art context so that people can move forward with sort of these essential elements for questioning life or questioning what's going on. One performance piece that I've been working on recently, it sort of fed heavily from the idea of ritual, or like my experience in sort of the Catholic Church. There was like leaving the Catholic Church, leaving that sort of world. I knew that there were things in the secular world or in so-called normal society that were like severely lacking the framework for questioning like really important questions of life, that that have a real like cultural impact on how people live their lives, that I think you could see. And this performance piece was about ritual, and was about sort of being able to apply questions of pain or torment or Stockholm syndrome, about having to exist inside these institutions. I think violence is the main focus of my work, because violence exists everywhere. Every time you consume anything in a capitalist system, then inherently there's violence behind it that we don't see, that's sort of hidden by ideology and hidden by structures. But yeah, I think also there's like a particular emphasis on how that's perceived through the individual, perceived through the artist. I think that it's important to be able to take certain signifiers that people can recognise as sort of like a conduit for meaning, or for a way for people to understand an idea, but not have them sort of completely directly linked to any specific institution or organisation. You can have a ritual, or you can have a protest that exists just in the confines of a gallery space, that can make you think about the essential nature of these things without having to participate in a specific ritual, a specific religious organisation, or a specific protest or political group. So it's about taking these elements from outside and putting them back in. Painting is always performance. Like if you create an object like a painting, then you're capturing a moment in time. But there's this strange process that happens that isn't art and isn't the artist and isn't the work, where someone says a painting is finished, and then immediately it stops being artwork and it becomes a commodity. It becomes a fetish object of the market. That's a particular sort of interest of mine with painting. That's why I think it's essential to have that element of performance art. Once a work has stopped being made and the point is over, then the work is over. The work that I was doing just before before isolation, I was sort of interested with documenting every little detail of what people did in the studio spaces, and sort of ruthlessly, so that that documentation could be the art, it could be the work. Everything everybody does is a continuous performance. It's like that sort of cliched Shakespeare quote.
All the world a stage.
Yeah, all the world, yeah.
That one.
That one.
From Hamlet and or Romeo and Juliet.
Mm.